Mm. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Welcome to the Filter In Show. Want to say hello to all the friends at Why Hunger. We did a radiothon at WFAN today for Hungerthon. They've done it for 30 years to raise money for Why Hunger to help feed the 38 million Americans who have trouble putting food on their plate. So we raised a lot of money today. Good people over at Why Hunger. Want to say hello.
Great.
Hello, Why Hunger. Great organization. Still things you can donate on or auctions. Anyway. Boy. Here we are. Letting people filter in. Got any jokes? I always ask that. One-liner, maybe? Henny Youngman style?
Yeah, I mean, I got so many of them. We'll have to start charging though, like a gate.
I feel like jokes don't have there's less jokes now. When I was younger, I feel like there were more jokes. People were like, "Hey, you want to hear a joke?" I feel like nobody even says that
I
anymore.
agree with that. But
Yeah.
I also think that generally more people are trying to be funny more often.
Yeah.
Like there's like a currency to
That's social media,
humor
baby.
and comedy,
Yeah.
and it seems like very few people feel like there used to be like, "Oh, I'm not really that funny," in the past. And I feel like
Right.
most people would never admit that now.
That they're not funny.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
or they think that they
Yeah.
are,
Right.
because it used to be like, oh, everyone's quoting Anchorman or whatever, and now it's just like everyone's making the same like 6 jokes on Twitter
Yeah.
and
Yep.
putting like a crying laughing emoji after it and being like, I'm actually really funny. I'm actually super funny. They say that. And I
Anchorman
think it's very
Go ahead.
frustrating. I think a lot of people, when they go to movies or whatever podcasts, they're like, I want some like joke around more. And I'm like, I don't want that from people that aren't funny. Like, I just have no interest in like people trying to be funny that aren't. I think it's like, just do your thing. You don't have to, nobody's got to pretend.
Well, and most people, if they're not like funny, right? Like if they're not like a funny person, they're more likely to be funny just being themselves
Yeah,
and just talking than trying to be funny.
that's right.
Right. So, well, fuck fake funny people.
I think just
And
normalize
yeah,
not trying to be funny.
normalize not trying to be funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And can I, on top of that, normalize not knowing everything. Like, I feel like everyone is part of every discussion as if they like the internet is this, or Wikipedia in general is this thing where because you can look things up right away, especially on the internet, you can seem more informed than you are. Normalize just being a normal person who's not that funny and doesn't know stuff.
That's almost what I strive to be. Word for
the,
word.
the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code RTRS. Is brought to you by Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process, processrealtor.com. And By Nature Pet Foods, the home of the Soft Shit Award, slow cooked with super fusion. Get 20% off your first order at Chewy and Amazon with code 20RTRS. Oh, and our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Get that black label bourbon. Stateside Vodka is the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. StatesideVodka.com. On the show today, the Sixers and Tyrese Maxey spoil Alvin Gentry's first game as Kings head coach. Joel Embiid seems to be on his way back. And as we hit just sort of the dregs of the regular season, I wanted to get Mike to rank of the things that have happened over the last 8 years, the crazier ones. Rank them which is like the most. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is the most Sixers? Like, of those crazy things that we've lived through, like, let's rank them. Let's talk about them. Before we get going, a public service announcement. Tomorrow is the night before Thanksgiving. Many people go out and drink. People, I guess, go out and drink on Thanksgiving night, too. I've mentioned many times on this podcast, probably every year around this time, about 8, 9 years ago, I don't know, whatever. My wife and I got rear-ended on the night before Thanksgiving by a woman who was not only drunk, was also on PCP and had a 10-year-old in the car. Luckily, no one was like killed or anything. There were some bad injuries, but no one was killed. And I would just say there's lots and lots and lots of drunk driving. And please just do not. Please be smart. Call the Uber. Send Mike the bill. He'll pay for it. Call the Uber. Call the Lyft. But please be, if you're going out tomorrow night or Thursday night, please be safe. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name, I say the name, I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Life's tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Right to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's pouring one out for one Jason Garrett. That is Mike Levin.
It's nice to win. It's nice to win games and go win 2 games on this brutal road trip without most of their players. And so I thoroughly enjoyed last night's win over the Kings. The Kings, who I do love. I do have a lot of affection for the Kings. And I do feel like someone throwing up on the court and then immediately firing your head coach is a very Sixers thing to do. And I want to just, you gotta respect an organization going through a very bad time. Kings obviously have gone through a much worse time than the Sixers have. I think for the most part, the Sixers have been stranger, I guess, as we'll get to later in the podcast.
Yeah.
And the Kings have just been futile, helplessly. And their fans seem to not even want that much. They just really want to be like good enough.
Yeah.
And like interesting and not to move to a different city or threaten to or be that awful. Even just losing is fine, but just don't lose that badly. So I feel for the Kings and I want them to be good. And they have guys I like.
Well,
I think Luke Walton's a bad coach, but I'm hopefully better things for the Kings.
I was going to say that about the players you like or whatever. I was watching the game. I didn't watch it until today because it was on late last night. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, man, you've been bad for so long, and all you have are a bunch of players that it would be like, oh, it'd be good, be fine to have that player. You know, I'm watching Harrison Barnes, and you know he's a helpful guy, and Buddy Hield on the right team, helpful guy, and De'Aaron Fox is like not a star or anything, but you know could be good on a good team or whatever. And I just think, and you look at Marvin Bagley, which is obviously a he
always sucked. That pick sucked from the beginning.
Bad pick.
That pick sucked whether Luka was available or not. Like I can see he's athletic. He can jump over the rim, but like he's not good at anything. There's nothing he's good at.
And Rashawn Holmes, there's another.
Obviously, we love Rashawn.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, you've been bad for so long. Like that's some like they're not in this position now, but that's some like Timberwolves shit, and like they're just bad for so long, but nothing like really worked out. Like, how do you not have one guy? Right? I guess and
it's hard to
Boogie
get that guy
10 years ago.
Yeah, but even is
he wasn't even
Marcus
that guy.
Cousins that much better at his peak than De'Aaron Fox figures to be? I feel like probably not. I feel like
talent-wise, probably, but not in terms of like effect on the court. All things considered, yeah, of course not. It's just
they're both like top out at like the 20th best player in the league, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
But they've had 2 good draft picks in a row in Halliburton and Davion Mitchell.
But even Halliburton's like he's fine. You know,
he's good, he's a good, helpful player. Really good, helpful
player, right? But on a team that's already good, I think. So all right, before we get to the game, and I wanted to mention Embiid, our Apple Podcast 5-star review of the pod. We're at 2,964. That number keeps creeping up. If it gets to 3,000, we all know what happens. Mike takes all his clothes off. Here is the review. Comes from nickname 12344243224. The headline is Seth Curry Conspiracy. I mentioned this on the last pod. I am led to believe that Seth Curry wears the same undershirt every game. The white undershirt has 2 small holes in the back near the shoulder/armpit area. Unless he's getting some kind of weird treatment where they have to cut holes in his shirt, but I'm pretty sure it's the same shirt each and every game. Update, I noticed Drummond's undershirt also has the same holes in the same spots.
Huh.
I feel like I'm going crazy. So is it more likely that there's some weird hole thing, or more likely that Andre Drummond and Seth Curry both wear the same shirt every time and the shirts wear in the same spot?
Similar size
Mm-hmm.
of shirt. That'd be funny if they both wore the same shirt. Which
Yeah.
would you rather it be? Drummond wearing a very tight shirt or Seth wearing a very baggy, huge undershirt?
the latter.
Yeah, probably
The latter. Yeah. Come on. And
yeah, very bizarre.
And before we talk about the Kings, there was an update with Joel Embiid that, man, Doc talks about he got dropped in the middle of the COVID era, like he's like in Quantum Leap. Like he doesn't understand what's going on. He said that Embiid was doing one-on-one drills, I guess, and he had, quote, passed one test, which is not a COVID test. I guess it's a fitness test or something. And they're waiting for him to pass another one. So at least he's exercising. We had heard very little about Embiid's well-being of late, and it was I talked to you off the pod that I was like worried, but at least he's exercising and doing drills and stuff, which is a good sign,
Yeah, and Drew Hanlon posted a picture at the Sixers practice facility.
Oh, I didn't see.
It seems like he's been working him out there while the team's on the long road trip. So would be nice to have him back.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like he's coming back for the Golden State game.
No.
But
they're gonna get beat so bad.
I don't know. This is a weird team. They might be like
Okay.
they either lose by 40 or like lose by like 2.
Well, hopefully Tobias doesn't play. So do you want to talk about, I feel like we lead off talking about Maxey every time. I want to give you the player outside of Maxey that I felt the best about during the Kings game. Then we can talk about Maxey. You all right with that?
Sure.
I thought, you look at his line and it's not particularly impressive, but I thought Cork was like a pretty necessary player during that game. His perimeter creation, like his comfort doing those things, and he's obviously a very different player than Maxey. His everything that he does is crafty and like basketball movie, if you will. And I thought he found guys in important times, and in the fourth quarter had 2 or 3 buckets just getting to the hoop pretty easily and confidently, that for a guy who, makes his money, quote unquote, hitting threes, when a shot wasn't on and didn't look like it was a particularly good shooting game, I thought he was impressive. And he's not had look good since Embiid got hurt. But this game, I thought, I don't think they win that game without him.
He's clearly struggling shooting the ball. He was 2 for 4 from 3, but I think he passed up a lot of looks that he would normally take in favor of floaters, which it's an Unterberger special, but too many floaters, like way too many floaters. Please stop. But he's over this season easily shown his most creation abilities.
Yeah.
Getting guys the ball and wraparound passes, little lobs. And I do think he's definitely improved as a finisher around the rim and using his body to get places. He drew a bad foul. It was the wrong call, but him doing it was nice to see on Halliburton, where he kind of like lunged in front of him and absorbed the contact and stuff. He's an improved player. He's a good player. He's just a good player. I think the team, he will be better served when he can do a little bit less of that, because it's not his bread and butter. Like, you just want him to be able to hit catch and shoot threes. You want him to be able to on a dribble handoff, if they go under, he can hit that. I would like a little less creation on his plate and a little more just like he should be the best shooter on the team. And he hasn't been for the last few weeks. And I think it's just because there's not enough guys that can do other stuff so he can settle back into that role.
It's sort of probably the similar reason as to why Curry has not been quite as good. I mean, the fall off of those two guys has been the most noticeable without Embiid. That and Drummond. There's a question about Drummond's rebounding later that I have to bring up to you as a Drummond rebounding denier.
I want to say it. I'll say it right now. This was a good Andre Drummond game. Like I'm not that you're more negative on Drummond than I am. I'm specifically anti him as a rebounder, but the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, he really won them the game by his rebounding and activity, offensive glass, defensive glass. I thought he rolled hard. He played under control. He didn't try to do too much. He was
once or twice, but overall he did not.
Yeah, once or twice. There was a couple. I started making my notes. Like it seemed like he didn't give a shit in the second half, and I was like, "Here we are in for like a." He was good in the first half, and then it's like, "Okay, here we go." I thought he really played well defensively, getting his hands in there, blocking shots at the rim. But yeah, I mean, he had a couple nice end of shot clock possessions where he's like, okay, there's 3 seconds left in the clock. I got to make a quick move to the basket. And I think he got fouled a couple times. Doesn't have great touch inside the restricted area. Doesn't have the burst that he used to have as a younger player. Missed a lob dunk. It's going to be good and bad. Like, I think this is just like, he is an above average to one of the best backup centers during the regular season who will be in the playoffs exposed in bad matchups. Mm-hmm. But this was a game that I think he won them the game. He had the best plus minus in the team and really like very impressive. Wonder if like Tristan Thompson's offensive rebounding display earlier sort of like revitalized Drummond, watching that and being like, oh yeah, I can do that if I feel like it. And he did, and he out rebounded the whole team, and it was big. He won them the game in the game they needed to win because they're probably going to lose to Golden State.
So as we talk about Tyrese Maxey, I wanted to, on DraftKings Sportsbook, our presenting sponsor, go to the awards section of the futures. You know, the app is very easy to navigate. And I want you to guess in the awards section, most improved player. How many people have shorter odds to win most improved player than Tyrese Maxey? Your guess.
It's tough as a second-year player.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like, I think the rule, the award maybe shouldn't go to those kinds of players because they're just still so young and improving generally. And I generally like it as more of a mid to late career award.
Now I can tell you the people ahead of him, none of them are mid to late career.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now I won't say what years they are, but they're all early.
I feel like one of them is Ja.
Correct. So Ja Morant at DraftKings Sportsbook, our presenting sponsor, is the leader. Hold on, I lost it. Awards. Hold on, the app refreshed. That's not on me. Ja Morant is the favorite at plus 160.
Mm-hmm. And then there's not that many other guys that it could be for telling me it's early career type things. Hero is pegged for sixth man, so I doubt he'll be there.
Well, Hero is third at plus 1,400.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll say Maxey is fourth.
He is seventh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ja Morant plus 160 is the favorite. Then Miles Bridges, who has looked fucking awesome, at plus 350.
I'm not a Bridges guy. He's intermittently awesome, sometimes a little lost.
Yeah, but he's good.
He's fine.
Wow, a Miles Bridges denier. I did not know that. Yeah. No, then there is, I don't know why the app keeps refreshing. Maybe because it wants me to see the new odds. Then Hero at plus 1,400, Cole Anthony at plus 2,000, DeJounte Murray at plus 2,000, Anthony Edwards at plus 2,500, Jordan Poole at plus 2,800, and then Tyrese Maxey at plus 3,000. That's a good buy. I don't know if he's going to win it, but that's a good buy. DraftKings Sportsbook, our official Sportsbook. Hey, also at DraftKings Sportsbook, the unofficial sports betting partner of the NFL, right now, new customers bet $1 on any team to score, and you get $100 in free bets. Come on, bet $1 on any team to score, you get $100 in free bets. Also giving new customers a free shot at millions of bucks in total prizes with their first deposit at DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score. Get it? With promo code RTRS at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, PA only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. This was a game for Maxey in which what was he, 0 for 3, 0 for 4 from 3. So it's not like the shot was dropping, but still, I thought played a nice little game defensively, had a couple of moments defensively, and just continues to like thrive. It's crazy. What, I have 24 points? Is that how many he had? It's just I don't even know what to say other than it is stunning that he has gotten this much better in his second year, and he just continues to do it even when the shot isn't falling. I don't know, just fucking, I don't even know what else to say anymore. It's
yeah, he's just the man. He's just the coolest. It's such a delight to root for him. It's such a breath of fresh air. Bodner was talking about how it's surreal watching a guy like this improve as much as he has, because Philadelphia tends to be the place where people forget how to shoot, and for him to be growing and learning and not just shooting, but at other elements of his game and getting more comfortable. He just he has his one elite skill is the ability to burn anybody in the league going right at the rim. And there's just
I was going to ask you what his elite skill was. I was talking that with MOC earlier.
There's no one that can stop that. He's so fast, and guys get close, but he's really good at finishing there. And he's gotten a little bit better. Not as good as he's going to get. A little bit better at drawing fouls there. His free throw rate is significantly up from his rookie year. He took eight foul shots last night. Some of them were in garbage time. But he's just he burned anybody. He dusted Fox, did rejected the screen, and went down the lane for a nice two-handed dunk. They started, because he's the main guy you're scheming against when Embiid's not there on defense, and they're starting to play back on his drives because they're scared of it. And so he can walk into just the threat of that right-handed drive. He can walk into 12 footers, and he has, and he's really good at that. He's just he's shooting a crazy high percentage on twos. It's ridiculous. Even one time Rashawn was running with him, pretty good shot blocker, couldn't do anything, just got it over him, still went in, really nice play. He slams into the stanchion all the time, just running full speed at the stanchion.
He does. I'm
a little bit worried about him.
A
doing
nice
that.
noticed thing. He definitely
I wish that
does.
he would. There should be some sort of deceleration ability there, but he really goes into it hard. He's incredible. He's incredible, and I think it's maybe just because of the coaching change, but he's been there. But pretty inexplicable for Alvin Gentry to have Davion Mitchell, who's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league already, pressuring on-ball defenders as a rookie. And for him to not be ball pressuring anybody outside of Maxey late, I think it was wrong. They just allowed the Sixers to get into their sets a little bit too easy, but they're a bad team. But yeah, I mean, Maxey is a good defensive player at this point. He's limited because of his length. But even when the outside shots weren't going down, but I was still happy to see him take it. A couple step backs when they went under. He was doing most of the creating of the offense. So it wasn't it was just easy swings to him and stuff. He's just really good. He didn't turn the ball over again. I know that we want to see him turn the ball over a little bit more, just because it means he's taking more risk from passing the ball. But he's not turning the ball over his handle's not turning the ball over. And it's not like he's just doing dribble handoffs all the time. He's making the right reads. He's finding guys rolling bigs. He's kicking to the corner. He's making the standard good point guard passes. He's just not generating assists. He's not passing guys open quite yet. He's not LaMelo or anything. And maybe he gets to a point where he starts to do a little bit more of that. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is another guy that does that kind of stuff. But he's not like not passing. He's making the right reads. And he's just like really strong with the handle and fast enough to get by guys. And he doesn't need to take too many risks, although I'd like to see him take some more.
To your point about the turnovers, like when you look at the top 10 players in turnovers in the NBA every year, it's always the best players. It's always the primary perimeter offensive players who are turning the ball over. And there's an occasional one, you'll see Russell Westbrook in there and you'd be like, well, I wouldn't want him. But by and large, if he is creating the way that you want him to, and I know we're, 2 months into his second season, but that's the point. Like the want him to take more risks and those sorts of things, because if he is doing that, then he will turn the ball over, but it will mean that he's creating more and those sorts of things. So, but it's you're nitpicking at that point. But when you think about what he projects as, that's where it's got to come from, because I keep going back and forth. What is it more likely he is? That a great scorer or just becomes more of a point guard? And I think it's got to be the second one for some reason. Like I think he's if you're going to look at a trajectory, I just never see him as a 30-point a game guy or 25-point a game guy or anything. I think it's more likely that he gets to being a 7.5 or 8 assist a game guy than he gets to 25 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel the need to really put him in a box like that.
Well,
I think he's just a guy that continues to improve and work on his jumper like he is. He's scored 20 plus points per game on really good efficiency around the rim. He's still shooting like 39% from three, even after 0 for 4. Still early, so the stats are going to swing a lot on those kinds of things. We're getting in passing lanes, running out in transition, finding out. He's just like really, really good. And I think he absolutely has a chance to be one of the 10 best combo guards in the league. He's just really good. And I feel very lucky that he's on the team. I'm excited to see more Embiid and Maxey playing together and seeing like, okay, can this be, he's going to struggle come playoff time. He's going to struggle. He's going to have guys that like, they're taking this away from him. So what is it? How does he adjust? He's still young. He's not going to be, play at an all-star level all the time, but just really, really exciting. There has not been a guy like this on the Sixers in a really long time. It's Mike Muscala, man. God bless him. I'll kiss him.
Who are the best combo guards in the league? Like in your opinion, I'm trying to think of like who you're putting him in the.
Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray.
Okay.
I mean, Ja.
Booker.
Yeah,
Ja's a point guard.
Yeah, those kinds of guys.
Uh-huh.
I think he can be. I think he's just really good, man. I don't know. I'm along for the ride. I had high expectations. He is leaping over them. Yeah, I love that he actually dunked. Maybe there's more athleticism there as he gets stronger. Who knows if there's like more vertical athleticism to him. Just really and he's such a delight. Every interview, like watch interviews with him. I like don't really watch that many interviews with the Sixers because it's like they're all kind of the same most of the time.
Too many chances there's an advertisement for a product in there.
Yeah, and also reluctant to see any more NFT promotions. But like he's just he's so watchable anywhere, and I don't know. I'm smitten by how good he is, and so excited to keep watching him get better.
Mike, it is time for the soft shit award. I know you never think about it until I tell you it's time for the soft shit award. So you should start scrolling through the internet, start thinking about it. The By Nature Pet Foods Soft Shit Award. So now, because I go to work so early, I go to work at like 5 a.m. now. So I walk my dog beforehand, walk him at like 4:30 a.m., which means that I'm picking up poop in the dark in leaves. And let me tell you, you don't want soft shit when that happens. No. You need firm turds because you might not find them right away. If you give your pet By Nature pet food, they're going to have firm turds, no soft shit. because their bowel movements will be healthy because it is healthy food made with premium products and cooked the right way. Premium probiotics, super fusion, super ingredients, spinach, blueberries, cooked the right way, slow cooked. So it's more nutrient rich. So your dog or cat gets all the nutrients in it as it quickly metabolizes food and only leaves firm poop. That's right. By Nature pet food. Go to Chewy or Amazon. Dog or cat, by the way. Chewy or Amazon, and use code 20RTRS for 20% off. It's so healthy. I've said this before. You go to buy pet food, they're like indoor cat, outdoor cat, big dog, small dog. No. When you're thinking about human food, what's good for somebody is good for somebody. Broccoli, right? Good for everybody. Apples, good for everybody. By Nature pet food is healthy, so it's good for whatever size your dog is, whether your cat is indoor or outdoor. By Nature pet food. Code 20RTRS at Chewy or Amazon.com. It is a family owned and operated business, and they've been around for 40 years and never had a recall on any of their products. All right, the Soft Shit Award. Mike, take it away.
I give it to people that are that I'm specifically thinking about John Gonzalez, but it's not just him, but like people that clutch their pearls at like, oh my God, LeBron and Isaiah Stewart, like he elbowed him and then he got upset and like, what is this happening? Like, I get why, especially in Detroit, you want to make sure that doesn't get out of hand.
It wasn't a great look from Isaiah Stewart.
No, of course. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
he definitely like went above and beyond. He got popped in the face, and so I get why he was like just saw
Frustrated.
red and everything.
Yep.
And he's a young kid, and he's got to find a way. He's like 20, I think, second year in the league. He's got to, that'll be something he works on about like controlling his aggression and stuff. He plays very hard and everything. But like LeBron, who like I feel no need to like defend LeBron. He's got plenty of people do that, but like that happens in basketball. Like sometimes you pop somebody in the face, and it's like somewhat on purpose or somewhat not on purpose, but like it 100% happens all the time. And he did like oh fuck, my bad. Like he did the like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I did that thing, my bad. And then obviously Isaiah Stewart like lost his mind. But like it just happens. It's a physical game, and this is something we're gonna have somebody on in the future to talk about a book they are writing or wrote. And in the past, we
Chris
did this
Herring.
like
I don't think it needs
I don't know
to
if
be
we want
secret.
to tease it or not, but like especially with the 90s, like
Yeah.
90s Knicks book, people like love glamorizing like the 80s and 90s like brutality and like how physical it was.
More 90s, late
Sure.
late 80s, and then
Yeah, the
90s.
Detroit in the
Yep.
80s. And it's like, and then like this thing happens, and it's like there's no place in the game for that, and it's just like, what are we doing? Maybe those aren't the same people saying that stuff. But anyway,
Okay.
I give the soft shit award to people that like clearly have never played basketball before or forgot what it's
John
like. And, like
Gonzalez.
if you slow it down and look at it, be like, that's ill intent, and he might as well have wielded a knife and stabbed him in the face. Like it's just sometimes when you're scrapping with somebody, you pop them in the face, and then you go, my bad, and then it's fine, and we don't have to like deliberate like if he's a dirty player or not. Like it happens.
What a moment. Gons retires this week and then gets handed the soft shit award from you. Now, the pearl clutching, just to clarify, was just it was over. There's no place in the game for this sort of thing. Is that
Yeah, specifically that. I think it's just
tone?
like people that it's like that happens in basketball. It
Right.
it happens, and sometimes people get mad, and then it's like, oh, okay, we're cool, all good, and we move on. But it doesn't have
LeBron's
to be.
got-
It feels like a referendum on stuff.
LeBron's got bigger problems. That fucking terrible team he put together. LeBron's got bigger
Yeah,
problems
they're
getting
not-
beat
they're
up
not
by
good.
Isaiah Stewart. Anybody else? Oh, it was a great Thibault game. There was that one steal where he just like, it was sort of like a pass in the flat that the quarterback didn't know that the safety was hanging out there, and he just popped, and it was
It was more like a defensive lineman, honestly, like just like popped up
Yes.
above
You're
the
right,
thing
you're
and just
right,
like
you're
grabbed
right,
it and went the other way. He's just so good, and that was Halliburton that threw that pass, and Halliburton was killing them with just like lob to Rashawn, lob to Rashawn, lob to Rashawn. And for Matisse to spot that in like semi transition, and just like grab it out of the air. He's incredible, man. So fun to watch play defense. Unbelievable. And I thought he just like provided a lot of energy. He had a bunch of baskets off cuts. He had a bunch of baskets just getting out in transition and finishing well or getting fouled. I think he did have every Matisse 3, you have to like break it down and go like this. And this is why it's good that he took it and made it. Because I'm excited about it. Him improving as a 3-point shooter is huge. And I think he's just getting more and more confident. On one possession, he missed the 3. B-ball Paul got the rebound and passed it right back to Matisse. And Matisse had the confidence and not, stuck in his head ability to just go out there and he just took the shot again and it went in and it was nice. And I just really, really believe in Matisse being like a continuously more helpful player offensively. You can see him getting better with the ball in his hands in transition. So often last year or the year before, he would kind of just go up and fling the ball up and be a little clueless. Now it seems like he's much more in control and composed. Finishes strong. Like, it's nice to see. And the defense is incredible, obviously. Really nice Matisse game. Really nice. I also want to, if we want to pivot, Shake.
Mm-hmm.
Shake is
nice game from Shake.
Great Shake game.
Yeah.
Just like tough buckets, tough mid-range. It seems like he's so patient. He has somehow made himself even slower this year. Like he's slow compared to NBA players. He's absolutely slow. And then he comes into this year after like an up and down last season. And the fix to make himself better is to like go even slower, which is remarkable. He's Jamie Moyer out there. It is unbelievable how he because he's long, because he's got a nice handle. Sometimes it's a little bit looser, but he shoots the ball high. He can get a shot off kind of from wherever. He hit 2 straight threes on when they were going behind on screens from the top of the key. It was nice. He had a couple big shots around late in the paint and around the rim. Just like he's great. I feel like Shake was the guy. I've always been a Shake dude, but like I feel like with Maxey stepping up, with Matisse on defense, with Isaiah Joe being as prolific an outside shooter as he is, he's the guy that of that crop of guys, I started being like, all right, we'll throw him in the Ben trade and that'll be a sweetener. But like he's really good and he's just a really helpful guy and he's never going to be a primary option or even like running offense much. But like as a secondary initiator who can kind of just do everything all over the court, he's a really, really helpful player. And he had a nice game last night. He's been good lately.
Just want to note to CJ, we're doing this pod live on YouTube, and somebody in the chat, his only comment was a sleeping emoji. So put that guy in timeout for 5 minutes, and he can't make any comments. Every once in a while, CJ is like, "Hey, did you ban some guy?" And sleeping emoji. No. If you're tired, if this is boring to you, you gotta leave.
I was typing in the chat good night to him, assuming he was going to go to sleep, but he took care of it. So
there we go. So every once in a while, I have to moderate. Are you ready to go to? Was there anybody else from the game? I mean,
couple more things.
Oh, okay.
B-ball Paul with a short rotation with obviously no real starters outside of Maxey there. B-ball Paul got some run at the 4, and I do think that him at the 4, it's a little bit of a Jonah Bolden redux, but I think a better defensive player eventually. He's been struggling lately. He seems a little bit lost. He seems a little bit more like loose-limbed, just sort of like flailing around out there a little bit more than I like a little bit of flailing for B-ball Paul, but a little bit of tightness. He had a nice bucket. He does give you more offensive rebounding at the 4, which is helpful, especially when Embiid's out there and if they end up playing together in different spurts.
Doc doesn't want his bullshit.
No, he doesn't want him out there at all.
He's
but
got
he just
no
like
time.
he really struggles. The benefit of he's not a great defensive rebounder, B-ball Paul, at this level. So like you're like, well, maybe play him with a 4 and you give him some and not the responsibilities, but like he just is not a confident shooter right now, and you don't want him to be because he's not good enough yet. And so he either has to get better as a defensive rebounder at the 5 so that his switchability plays, or shooting on the offensive end so he could play a little bit of 4 if need be. And right now he's a little in between. And Bassey's been good. Bassey wasn't great last night, didn't really pop that much, but it's an interesting. I wonder if one of those guys gets traded this season, as a sweetener or something like that. I'm not sure. Isaiah Joe, love Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, had some good run last night.
11 points in the first half. hitting shots. His gravity is just incredible. He had a really nice little step through floater with the shot clock expiring. He's not just a shooter. He has some elements. I want him to mostly do shooting. I want 80% of the stuff he does to be shooting, but it's nice to know that he has other stuff in his bag too. And I want him to, he needs to keep getting minutes. Somehow we got to find ways to get him minutes. If that's resting guys like Danny came back too soon, we need Danny in the playoffs. So I need Danny to make sure he's like fully ready with the hamstring to come back. So like, let's play some more Isaiah Joe. He had a tough start to the season after a great training camp. Bring him back in there. And then I just want to say Niang wasn't excellent last night. He did a bunch of stuff well. He hoists no matter what. I just think like defensively, even though he doesn't move his feet, he's not fleet of foot. He moves well and he rotates so well. He forced a travel on Alex Len, who's like 6 inches taller than him, basically at the rim just by being there. He's just a really smart, heady player on defense, and he tries on defense and gets his body in there, and he's good. And I just don't think he's going to get occasionally, sure, but I just don't think he's going to be problematic defensively in the playoffs. I think he's too smart. I think he moves well, and I think he gets his hands in there enough, and I'm just not concerned about it.
I'm going to register my concern. It is interesting that I can't believe you would suggest that George Niang isn't fleet of foot, though. I mean, that has to be the first time he's ever been described as such. I think it will be a problem, but I don't know. I hope we're at a point in the getting to the playoffs where we're like worried about stuff and we have hopes. And so the YouTube comment of the week, it wasn't just the YouTube comment of the week. What was it called? The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. Is that what it was? That's what it is. Brought to you by Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Easy to stomach. The Black Label Bourbon, which comes out once a year, limited release, is out now. So Black Label Bourbon, statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21. The sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Sign up at rightsrickysanchez.com/newsletter. Okay. Hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. If the NBA did a 2020 redraft, where would Maxey go? Would he be a top 5 pick? I think LaMelo and Edwards would go 1-2, but I could see teams discussing taking Tyrese at 3. Okay, so Edwards and Ball would both still go ahead of him. After that,
I was actually looking at this today,
okay,
and thinking about it, not knowing this was a question, but I think Max is in the conversation for 3 for sure. I think for some teams, maybe Devin Vassell's in there, maybe Halliburton's in there.
Quickly,
some wrong teams would still probably put Weissman in there. The Warriors need to trade him like instantly if they're thinking like he's the future of the franchise. They're just it's so wrong, and it's just so wrong. They need to trade him. He's going to become Joel Okafor in a second. Like he's going to be Joel Okafor, where it's like, oh, we don't care about his draft position anymore because he's bad. And that's what's Maxey or Weissman getting injured is like a gift to the Warriors, because people can be like, oh, he still has potential. He's just going to be like totally. Look at Nick Richards. He's the guy I've always compared him to. Nick Richards, a little bit smaller, but like just a slightly not crazy high IQ at Kentucky big man who just eventually, now that he's like deeper into his career, like, you know, he's probably like 23 or 24. Now he knows what to do as a backup center, and that's all he has to do. Charles Bassey, same thing. Like you just want a guy that does that, and to draft him at 2 is insane. To draft him over LaMelo was the worst pick, one of the worst picks of all time. Trade him before he makes the team worse and his value tanks. I think Desmond Bane is probably in the conversation, like in the top 10, but I feel like people, you know, he's pretty old, so
Cole
his
Anthony
upside is limited. Cole Anthony, I think, is around there. He's been better than I thought. He wasn't good last year, but he's really started to pop. He definitely worked on his game and his handle and his jumper over the offseason for sure. He had a rough year at UNC with low talent and then not a great rookie season. But I would say Maxey's easily a top 5 pick. Easily.
He's right around there for sure. Yeah. Honestly, looking at the draft now, it doesn't look like a particularly impressive draft. Toppin has been better this year than he was.
Patrick Williams is going to be good.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that they have pegged as the starting 4 for a while when he gets back. There's a bunch of good players in that draft that are going to be helpful players. But as far as like who projects as a possible borderline all-star, at least, Maxey's definitely in the conversation, and maybe only like 4 other guys are.
So there hasn't been an update this week with number 25 and Clutch and the Sixers. It's been pretty quiet. And I was thinking, it's here we are. We've mentioned this is one of the most painful situations that we've gone through over the last 8.5 years. But I tried to I tried to come up with the biggest ones. And I wanted you to maybe rank the top three and like, which are the most? I say most Sixers, but I just mean like the biggest, I guess. I don't know what word, the biggest and weirdest, everything that we talk about when we talk about these stories. Which ones are the most? So the ones that I have are Burnergate, the Fultz entire situation, this current situation, Jahlil Okafor fight, speeding, and dad, all in the same. The Zaire Smith allergy. And I just put it in there. Embiid has a lot of smaller ones. Second broken foot. What's it called? Shirley Temples breaking his face on Fultz's shoulder. I guess, I don't know if he has one of them, but he has a collection of them.
Sure. Even just nicknaming himself the process.
Yeah. Which one
The
is
whole
like
collective.
the one? Like what's the one that this will be defined by?
I think there's too many for it to be one. There's too much variety for it to be defined by one specific thing. But I feel like as far as what set the world on fire in a way we've never seen, it's
Burnergate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the unprecedented nature of how long this has gone on and how many like bullshit updates there have been and declaring war and now this becoming like a contract dependent conversation about mental health. It's not fun for anyone. For sure. Those are little niche strangeness. And the Fultz thing, forgetting how to shoot as the number one pick. And if you forgot, the number one pick makes the Fultz thing like that much.
And they traded
wilder.
up.
And they traded up for him with a rival. Like,
yeah,
that is for sure.
And it wasn't just they forgot how to shoot. He forgot how to shoot and then had a made up shoulder injury. And the mom was demanding that they take him to so many doctors that they find an injury. I mean, my God, and somebody asked in the chat, Zemethian asked if the Bynum thing counts. It doesn't. Bynum was pre-processed. So
no, for sure. But I think it counts as far as like modern Sixers history because nothing prior to that for like 8 years made an impact whatsoever. The Bynum thing at the time was wild. No, if the Bynum thing happened and then we knew like here's what's on the horizon, I wouldn't have batted an eye at the Bynum stuff. But at the time, because there was so like, hey, congrats, like Andres Nocioni is starting playoff games for you. Like that's not. There was nothing interesting about it. So then I was like, holy shit, we have this guy who's interesting and he's flamenco dancing and he's bowling and his knee has like cartilage and we're all learning about like how bones scrape together. Yeah. And he doesn't really feel like playing at all and he never played a game. That sucked. All of it. Okafor, there's stuff like that similar. There's a ton of nearly killing Zaire was pretty rough.
So is number 2 Fultz?
I think so. I think because he's the number one pick. I think so. Yes.
Okay. And this one's number 3.
Sure. That sounds fair. Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to the mailbag, the housing market has settled down a little bit. But if you're going to buy or sell, you're going to want to do it before they raise interest rates, which they're going to do that. You need a realtor. Oh my God. You see ads for them. Your dad's got a guy, we got your realtor, Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, official realtor of the process. Now, where do they specialize? Delaware and Maryland. Delaware beaches. If you're going to buy a beach home, buy one now. Get set. Have somewhere to go during the winter. If you just want a weekend away, or during the summer, over Jersey, you want to go Delaware beaches, lower property taxes, low interest rates. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe. All of Delaware, if you want to buy a home just in Wilmington, Newcastle County or whatever. But the other thing is, if you're going to buy in Jersey, like I did, you're going to buy or sell in PA, New York, wherever, you're going to refinance, you go to Ksebe anyway. He can't do it for you, but he will do the work to find you the best person. He's got his own people that do refinancing. I refinance with Ksebe. I'm just telling you, this whole thing, buying and selling a house, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on something that you're only really allowed to look at once or twice, it is terrifying. You need someone you can trust. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. If you need anything, man, he takes care of Ricky family. 302-864-8643. 302-864-8643. You can call or text. Take it from someone who has bought a house, sold a house, then bought another house. It's fucking terrible. Like, you just need somebody good. And Adam Ksebe is it. Official realtor of the process, Adam at processrealtor.com. All right. Here we go. Email from Steve. Writes to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. The interminable length of time without Embiid and watching this team's obvious struggles without him, 8-2 with him, 2-6 without, which seems about right given historical precedent, had me thinking about a different version of this ideal scenario I was hoping for last year. Namely, I'm convinced that a fully healthy Joel who can play 38 minutes a game is as impactful and winning as any other player in the NBA. If we had gotten that for an entire 7-game series last year, I would have picked us over anyone, Bucks and Nets included. Knowing everything we know about the current roster and assuming baseline health and play from these guys, which of the following scenarios would make you most confident at the start of this year's playoffs? Number 1, 25 returns and plays for the team, remaining an all-defense stud, but with the same basic offensive game. Assume the crunch time stuff remains bad, but not Game 7 Hawks bad. Number 2, the Sixers trade him for a non-Lillard level contributor who fits reasonably well and doesn't require sacrificing existing pieces. Think a Buddy Hield type. Or 3, he remains on the roster and never shows up, but you are 100% guaranteed a fully healthy and in shape Embiid for every single playoff game. Which of the 3 would you pick?
The third one.
Over. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, the idea that he's coming back at this point is
it's never going to happen.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Even if he somehow does and decide they finally agree to him, like, he's not going to try. We're past it. It's just like everyone being like, maybe like he sees how good Maxey is and like feels like he could be helped. No, it's done. No. Everyone go
almost
home.
Makes it less likely. Maxey
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't care. I want it. It's over. Stop trying to get him to come. He doesn't want to come.
Non-basketball comment. Anyone spending a week and presumably hours between setup and the disgusting act itself, sifting poop for a $100 item with no sentimental value is a lunatic, an idiot, or both.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say, like, with the Embiid stuff, like, you look at it, because the East is open and the West is also open, everything's open. There's favorites, but like no one looks unstoppable. And I think no one will look unstoppable because everyone has weaknesses.
The Warriors are going to add Klay Thompson.
Sure.
They're 15-2. Yeah. The Suns.
But it remains to be seen how much better Klay after this many this much time off, how much better than the way Jordan Poole has been playing, because he's been playing pretty damn well. I am more willing to do the draft picks trade than most people seem to be for Ben. I have almost no interest in role players. No interest in role players. Getting a collection of guys just like doesn't do anything for me. But if you can get like 3 or 4 seasons of like the Spurs first rounders protected in some way, whatever, and like maybe you get a DeJounte Murray or a guy like that who gives you some speed and perimeter creation outside of Maxey, then we can talk. I get why they're holding out, but I feel like at this point, holding out for something with Ben and them trading their star for Ben is way less likely and more aggravating, the process of going through that, than trading Ben for picks and maybe one or two guys that can kind of help or just salary filler, and then reroute those picks to another team when they decide to actually rebuild. Because what you're asking teams to do is, hey, don't just rebuild with Ben. Like that's the ask
Yeah.
that you're trying to do. And
It's a
I think
tough-
it's a hard for the
Hard
teams
ask.
that have guys that we're interested in. It's a hard proposition. And so as much as I get why you're like, I don't want to do a half step with picks, or I get why Embiid maybe wouldn't want just draft picks this season. If you can sell everybody on like, hey, we're doing this for now, and then we're going to get the guy either at the deadline or next offseason if something doesn't happen. I want to be patient about it and get those picks and be like, something right will come up, and let's save our bullets for the right day. But Embiid's, presumably alive, and if he's alive, he's healthy. And it's open. There's a bunch of good teams, but like it's open, and the Sixers look good, and the vibes are good. So like, if you can try to get it now, I get it. But we're approaching December when some players are more eligible to be traded if they were just signed this offseason. So yeah, I go back and forth about it, but I'm fine doing the picks thing now and figuring out the next move later because I think it gives you more options.
If you had to bet everything you own on one team winning the championship this year, who would you bet on?
I think the smart money is probably Brooklyn still.
Really? I'd put it on the Bucks. Still.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I think people they ended up looking really good against Phoenix. There was a really very interesting Rolling Stone article about how close they came to like shutting down the NBA Finals and Giannis getting it from his brother. And if they had to go to a game 7, like they might have had to delay the season and just been like, there's not enough players. Like it was because like a ton of players. I don't know if they said a ton of players or a ton of staff like got sick.
Oh, really?
After the final, like right after the finals. Yeah. It was
really?
It was a pretty harrowing read, being like how close it
When
came
did that
to
come out?
happening. Maybe like 4 days ago.
Oh, really? I didn't see
Something
it
like
at
that.
all.
Yeah, in the Rolling Stone. Yeah, I think Milwaukee's good. I picked them to win the championship before last season in this little pool I'm in. But I also think that they're somewhat beatable in the sense that like Giannis still has the weaknesses he has. Drew is not an elite offensive player. Chris Middleton played incredibly well. He's a great player, but like they're not that deep. They're depending on a lot of Grayson Allen. Brook Lopez hasn't been healthy in a long time. Like there's just like a lot of guys, and it's also hard to win twice in a row. It just really is. So I would take Brooklyn because I think when they're at their best, they're really hard to beat. And I think the Warriors are very good, but could get thin in a playoff series in a way that Brooklyn wouldn't.
Just thinking about how you called that retiree gone sanctimonious earlier and gave him the soft shit award. Just thinking about that for a second.
Yes.
I
texted him that I wanted to fight him, and he declined.
Then you ran after him like a bat out of hell. This comes from Rick in California. Spike and Mike, salutations. This one is a tough call, in my opinion. Here's the jigsaw. Option 1. Hey, CJ, could you pop up on the screen for a sec? Can we play audio while we talk on this thing or no? Because I would love to play the Saw theme song, the Jigsaw theme song.
There's a way. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not right now, but there's a way.
Next time. Okay, cool. Anyway, I got to get one of those Roadcaster things. So that way I can just do it, right? I'll do it without it. Anyway, option 1, for the rest of your life, whether alone or among others, you must read aloud in its entirety each and every user agreement you encounter before signing. This includes cell phone operating system updates and rental car contracts. You can't skim through or speed read. It must be at a reasonable pace, slow enough to grasp the details along the way. There are no exceptions.
Yeah, I signed start paperwork yesterday, and those things go on for a while.
What paperwork?
Start paperwork for shows.
Okay.
TV show.
Option 2. For the rest of your life, when entering a public restroom, you must go to the open urinal directly next to an occupied one, unless empty, in which case you'd pick the one closest to center. Shit. Then pull your pants down to the floor and pee like a toddler. When done, you must pull up your pants as if nothing was strange and carry on as usual. If anyone asks you what the hell is wrong with you, you must reply, "That's how I go, bro," and walk out.
Don't love either. I feel like if I was doing the urinal thing, I would have to, after I pull my pants up, say done in a very like happy sort of like proud.
Congratulatory.
Yeah, of myself. That's tough.
Yeah.
I'll go. My first job out here was in business affairs. So I'll take the user agreement. I'll take the user agreement.
Like a toddler is such a funny thing. This comes from Kevin. Sixers question: has Furkan's hair gotten too long? I have been following the lovely locks of one Furkan Korkmaz for some time now. It seems that his on-court game peaked a few weeks ago when his hair was at optimal length. It seemed like last year it was on the shorter end, and while he had his ups and downs, I felt his game really went to a new level earlier this season when he added a little more flow up top. But now it clearly looks like it needs a haircut, and his game has suffered. Curious if both Spike and Mike's thoughts as they've gone through different hair lengths over the years, wondering how it affect their work life in any way. I want to see how long it can go. I'm all for Furk. You got to get through those awkward stages when you're growing hair out where you think you should cut it. And that's where Furk is right now. I want to see where he can get to. So I support growing it out.
Yeah, it looks great. He's doing great. CJ friggin' posted his reel, including editing he's done for us on this podcast.
Yep.
And just like hard cuts of me deeply depressed in the pandemic in my old apartment with just atrocious hair, knowing that it wasn't good, knowing that I was just doing like an experiment with myself, and being like, I wonder what it's going to feel like when I'm like past this phase. And like, I look back and it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. And so CJ just like ripping through, just like, here's what I did. Look at this fucking asshole with this stupid hair.
Every time he goes to get a job, he sends it to them.
Yeah.
That's the one thing they want him. They
really want you to do hair cataloging. But yeah, I think Korkmaz should do what he wants and have a stylist, because I didn't get it styled. It was obviously just a year of growing it out natural.
I grew my hair out long, and my hair gets curly when it's long, and I fucking hated it. This was 45 now. More than 15 years ago. Non-basketball question. Does Mike like animals? We talk a lot about Spike's love of Rebel, Mike, and rest in peace, Alabama. And Mike is always good for a nice bark at the end of the big barker ads, but has Mike had dogs or cats in his life growing up? Does he plan on getting one in the future?
Yes, animals. I feel like Alyssa and I went to the zoo, San Diego Zoo, not too long ago. Alyssa frequently makes fun of me because I just don't know anything about animals, and I'm frequently like baffled and a little bit suspicious when people do. Like, how do they know what animal this is or what bug this is? It's a bug or it's an animal, and it's just like, it is a thing. And so I don't know, and so she makes fun of me for that. But I do like animals, and I do find them charming and nice, and I really like dogs. I used to not like cats, but then I started to really like some cats. And I think eventually we will get a dog once we figure out some stuff around here.
Good. Would love to see that little Mike adoption special. And finally, this comes from Ryan. And the subject line of Ryan's email was something like, should I get a new job? Hey, Spike and Mike. So recently I started a new job. Before this, I'd worked at my previous job for 4 years, and the office there had individual bathrooms. Not public bathroom stall style, just a personal room with a locking door. I didn't realize how good I had it. With a few years of the private bathroom life and a year and a half of working from home and using my own bathroom, I'd gotten accustomed to a certain way of living. Now I'm working in person 3 days a week in a large office that only has public bathrooms, multiple stalls, etc. I may be in the minority here, but I don't like to poop in the same room as other people. To me, if there's a person in the stall next to me, it's similar as if someone was in my shower while I pooped at home. And wouldn't that be weird? There's noises and smells. It should be a personal experience. So I've been trying to hold it while I'm at work Tuesday through Thursday, but obviously that makes for a very uncomfortable situation, intestinally speaking. Anyway, my question is this: should I just quit this job and find a remote job or a job with better bathrooms? Or should I just grow up and let everyone listen to me shit? I feel like Mike and I may be pretty similar digestively, just based on comments he's made. Thanks for everything. Can't wait for them to make the trade.
I've worked in this office at the 20th Century Fox lot. How I Met Your Mother was there. The Grinder was there, and I've been on a couple other shows that have been there for a little bit. And so it was like a four-story building or so, and the first floor is just where the table reads are for the shows, and has some like actor offices and stuff in there. But there's a really good bathroom with only one stall in this bathroom, and so people would at the office just like go downstairs and use that bathroom to take a shit. But then so would also like people on the crew. And so occasionally you're like running into people, but that kind of thing of finding a sort of secret bathroom that only you get to use, or fewer people, there's less foot traffic there, is something that I would recommend trying to do. If you don't like the job, then not having a good place to shit is a great reason to quit. There's a great reason to tell people why you quit. But if you like the job, I feel like you can be crafty about finding a little more privacy there.
One of the unfortunate things for me is I've gotten to this point where I have a pretty professional position, but I don't dress like it. And I feel like my sneakers are like, if somebody sees my shoes in the bottom of my pants, they know that it's me. But I don't know how many years ago, it must have been 10 years ago, I just sort of decided, fuck it. And I just poop if there's somebody in there. And I just I can't be concerned with it anymore. I just don't have time. I'm too tired. If I had an option, like if I did find the bathroom that nobody used on the floor above, I would use that. But it just doesn't bother me anymore, So, but I agree with you. If you can find that one, and if you're in an office building, you might be able to find that one, maybe in a different office, whatever. In any case, that's all we got. Golden State on Wednesday, Thanksgiving on Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving. Yep. And then pod on Friday. And then maybe Joel after that Wednesday game. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
That'd be so nice. Would love to see him back. I think the crowd would go legitimately nuts for him because it's been the team is likable. The team is against all odds likable. And there are guys Niang gets guys fired up. Maxey obviously gets the fans fired up. Occasionally when B-Ball Paul or Charles Bassey does anything, Korkmaz, there's a bunch of really, Seth on a heater. It is, I think that getting to live with those guys for a while and feeling like, oh, these guys are winning some games, they're hanging in, they're close on some others. I feel like the fan base is going to lose its collective mind once Joel comes back and goes okay, now that I think Joel has to be I know these guys are better than I probably thought they were. And so let's go out. Let's go get hot. It'd be nice if they won just 8 straight.
Get Seth back going again. Get Furk back going again.
Totally.
It'd be nice, I think.
Yeah.
It would be nice. So, all right. Have a happy and healthy, mostly healthy and safe evening before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving. And that's all I got. You done with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.